With my machine. See, it's in progress. I done lost it.
Good evening, Mother Jones. We haven't started yet.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jada Wright-Greene. Thank you for coming this evening. It's 6:29. I'm going to give people just a couple of minutes, and then I'll dive into my very short presentation, and then have time for questions and answer time. Thank you for coming, everyone. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Jada Wright-Greene. I thank you all for coming on this evening briefly to hear me speak about my book, which is here, Florida's Historic African American Homes, published with Arcadia Publishing as part of their Images of America series. I wanted to share a little bit about me and kind of how I got myself to this position of writing the book. It all started for me as an HBCU graduate of the great Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, Florida, where I earned a BA in political science. Since the age of 12, I always knew I would attend Bethune-Cookman thanks to my grandmother, who was active in fundraising with the Bethune Circle in Jacksonville, Florida, where I grew up. So while matriculating at Bethune-Cookman, I worked as a student intern for about 2 years at the home of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. So this was my first true introduction to historical homes, the operations, and understanding them, and truly fell in love with historical homes. I completely admire Dr. Bethune, her spirit, determination. Of course, being at Bethune-Cookman, you can't help but be engulfed because it's absolutely everywhere. After completing my studies at Bethune-Cookman in 2003, I began graduate work at Michigan State University in the urban and regional planning program, focusing on land use management and historical preservation, and also coupling that with museum studies. So in 2003, with that work, it sparked the interest of more detailed research in historical homes. And that research led me to writing my thesis on the redevelopment of the Malcolm X home site in Lansing, Michigan. So my research there included a travel grant where I traveled to several historical homes. Everyone is familiar with, I'm sure, Dr. Bethune's, the Council House in National Council of Women in DC, McGill Walker House in Richmond, Virginia, and also the Martin Luther King Jr. birthplace in Atlanta, Georgia. So as time marches on, I continue my work in museums as an advocate, and I created a blog that transitioned eventually into a magazine that was dedicated to African American museums, historical homes, and historical sites. This allowed me the opportunity to introduce people. The goal was to introduce people that are not necessarily scholars, but the everyday Jane and Joe Blow that may not be interested in the museum or not know anything about it. So doing this and doing more research, I began to locate historical homes, of course, because I'm interviewing people that own the homes or interviewing people that are operating the homes as museums or community art galleries. And across the country, locating all these houses that were still in existence, and even some that were extinct and, you know, at the point of possibly being shut down. So in March 2020, I began to even dive even further into historical homes and found that Florida had a large number of homes within the state. I always had a strong desire to publish and wanting to complete a book that would introduce people to not only, you know, history, but also historical homes. So it made sense for me to incorporate the history that I have, the love in historical homes and my home state of Florida into into a book with Arcadia Publishing. I'm not for sure, my mentor, Dr. Tara White, urged me to approach Arcadia, and I did. And with them completed this project and what we have here today. So of course, this was in the midst of the pandemic. And a lot of people, a lot of authors were, you know, on hold because they were not able to get into archives. But truly, through the grace of God, I was able to locate photos and information all virtually from my home at the time in Texas. So by contacting archives, museums, universities, libraries, even people that I encountered or met personally that had photos. So it's very difficult to find high resolution photos and the information that corresponded with the houses was even a bigger thing. So after locating over 100 homes, I found houses that were as far north in Florida as Pensacola and as far south as the Florida Keys. And these were houses owned by Floridians from all walks of life, educators, businessmen, civil rights advocates, community leaders, innovators, millionaires, just people from all social economic statuses. So you will find stately mansions, cabins, shotgun homes, all owned by people, like I said, from all walks of life. A.L. Lewis, Mary McLeod Bethune, D.A. Dorsey, Garfield Rogers, and Frank Butler are just a few of the Black Floridians that not only own homes, but created opportunities for other Blacks to own homes. Today, some of those residents serve as house museums, community art galleries, culture institutions, monuments, and they all interpret and share the legacy of the owner or the history of that local community. Three communities I want to speak about real quickly, and then I'm going to stop so we can get some questions in. It's so much that I could go into. The Overtown area in Miami is included in the book. Coral Gables area, which was settled by Bahamian laborers, and also the Scrub area in Tampa. And this area was located around the Central Avenue area, which was a thriving business district for Blacks, where Black businesses were owned, a place for Blacks to shop, beauty services, entertainment venues, and the such. So although these neighborhoods were not these stately homes and mansions, they were still very rich in history and culture for Blacks during that time. So I'm going to stop because I think I only have like 7 more minutes and open it up for questions. You can purchase the book, an autographed copy from me at www.jadawright-greene.com, and I will put it here in the chat for everyone to see. But feel free to ask questions.
I'd like to know the time period of which you examined these houses, and also how did they acquire these houses?
So the earliest home that I located was owned by a free woman of color, Julie Cottage, which is in Pensacola, Florida. She was of course, free and able to own property. And I have to give you the exact date. I don't know off the top of my head. The latest home that is in the book, a lot of these homes are still existing in the last chapter in the book, gives you kind of some of the homes that are still around. Some of them were built in 1950s, 1960s. I think one of the latest is Zora Hurston's last residence, and also the Jack Gaither house in Tallahassee, which he was a big football coach in Tallahassee, Florida at FAMU. Can you tell me your last part of your question? I'm sorry, I forgot that quickly. Okay, I lost you. Someone asked a photo of the oldest. Do you mean the oldest home? The oldest? Oh, show the oldest one. Okay. The oldest one, and I'll try and show you here in the book, is actually the first photo in the book. It's actually 1805. And like I said, it is in Pensacola, the Julie College. And it's here. So you can see more of the homes in the book. The book, again, is on sale on my website at jada-wright-greene.com. You're welcome. Any other questions? Do I know if any of the homeowners acquired the land to build the house under the Homestead Act of 1861? I do not know. That is a great question, and I'm going to find out the answer. I do not know. How much is the book? The book is $23 on my website. 1805 is when the Julie Cottage. What inspired you to include homes that you did? You know, it was a variety of things that inspired me. As you can see, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune is on the cover of the book. She, of course, is my biggest inspiration. I'm working in the actual home here that you see on the cover. She, you know, woman had the forethought to, in early 1950s, to make her home a foundation in order for people to view the home. So she truly inspired me to do this. And I always give credit to that, because if I had not worked in home, I don't think I wouldn't even know it's probably to even do this. How long did it take me to write the book? I started doing research in 2003 from when I finished my master's degree, or started my master's degree at Michigan State. I got more detail in it a couple of years ago, and then really started, you know, the real big research and concentrated on Florida in March of 2020 and finished in November of 2020. Does your book talk about the challenges that homeowners face, like Mrs. Bethune in her bathrooms? No, it does not. The book focuses, just gives you very much a snapshot of the house, a description. Some of the houses actually that I located, there's not a lot of information, not even some people, I couldn't even find the name of the home, but did find out that, you know, they were in this neighborhood that were owned by coloreds, or at the time what they described as colored, I should say. Okay, the price of the book, if it says $46, that means it's 2 books. If you change the quantity to 1, it should come under $23. Did the publisher provide you with any special guidelines to follow to publish a book? Absolutely. There was a author's guideline that was very detailed, and you had to stick to their particular aspects that they wanted. From the writing to the high resolution of the photos to having to number the photos. It's very, very detailed and took quite a bit. Do you have any thoughts of doing another book in other states? I get this question all the time. Yes, I have. I recently moved back to Florida from Texas, and I had a lot of people interested in me writing a book in Texas. I have thought about it because there is so much history and historical homes that are out there. Again, I did research across the country, and so I have thought about it. I'm still on the high from Florida. I haven't finished it, and it being published in May. So there has been some thought about other states and other topics, but definitely another photo book and some other projects. So we have about a minute left. Yes, thank you. Yes, I will be on a panel next Tuesday with called Dear Mama, Mamas in the Pandemic. Dr. Ashley Preston, I think she's on here, put together a panel talking about Black women as mothers in the pandemic and our work. And then next Saturday, I will be on the 25th at 2:30. I will be on a panel with others from Florida talking about Florida families. Okay, I think that is it. Is that all my time? Thank you, everyone.